Okay, in this activity, we're going to be working on writing equations from a graph. So in our fair game review, we practiced a little bit of previously learned graphing of inequalities, and now we're going to do the opposite, where we're going to actually write that inequality from the picture instead of creating the picture. So there's more than one method to doing this. I'm a very visual person, so I tend to use some visual techniques to help me out. So it says, the first step that you can do is place an X over the line. So if I had an X here, and when I write mine, I like to go through and actually put my variable or my letter first. And you don't have to use X, I'm just choosing to use X. Okay, so I put my X over the line. Then we're gonna have to decide on our symbol. So we're gonna look at the type of circle that was on that number. Well, it was a filled in circle. So just to review, when we worked with that previously, a filled in circle meant we had the line underneath. So we either have that greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, and then our greater than or equal to. Okay, so when I'm looking at that, numbers that fall to the left of a point on the number line are going to be less than or equal to. So those of you that aren't comfortable with reading these symbols right here, one thing you can remember is the open mouth always goes towards the bigger number. So in this case, the bigger number is the -2. And then we're going to also place our numbers. So we've got our variable I chose to use was X, and it is the smaller number. So I'm going to use my symbol that looks like that, and it was a filled in circle. And then the number that it was marked on was -2. So there is my inequality equation for that graphed line. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. And these ones just take practice. They take practice to get used to. Okay, so once again, we're going to work through our steps. So X is over here. Okay, so your choice, you can have X on the right side of your equation. I like to always write it as the first part of my equation. So I'm going to write X, and then I'm going to pick my symbol. Well, it's going to be one of them. Since it's colored in, it's going to be one of them that has the line underneath, so it's got to be one of those two. And the number is -4. Okay, so let's see. Those numbers that are falling to the right are greater than, which would be bigger. So X is greater than the one being eaten, or equal to, because it was a filled in circle. So X is greater than or equal to -4. Okay, so here we have an open circle. So we're going to be changing up our symbol. Instead of having the line underneath, we're going to pick one of these two. For the open circle, this was the filled in circle. Okay, so we know it's going to be one of these two. Okay, so our number is -3, and I'm going to use M this time just for something different. Okay, so now I have to pick my symbol. So M is numbers that are smaller or to the left. So the bigger number would be the -3 that's getting eaten. M is smaller, so this is what my inequality equation would look like. M is less than -3, and we did not put the line underneath because it's an open circle, so we don't fill in the equal to portion of it. Okay, so we'll use F this time. So I've got F, and I have -2. I know those are going to be involved in that. And then I know it's an open circle, so I'm picking one of these two symbols. And F is to the right of that number, which means it's bigger. It's the one that's getting eaten. So there's my equation. So F is greater than -2. And I'm not putting the line underneath because it's not also equal to. The more you practice these, the faster you become at them. Okay, so just be patient, practice those simple techniques, and then pretty soon it becomes pretty easy. Okay, so let's go with This time we'll use the letter N. So I have N, and the number we're marked on is 2. And it's a filled in circle, so I'm going to pick one of these two up here. And N is to the right, so it's the bigger number. So it's getting eaten, and I need the line underneath because it's colored in. So N is greater than or equal to 2. We'll practice one more. Okay, so the number that I have is 2, and we'll use M this time. And it's an open circle, so I'm going to pick one of these two. And M is to the left, or the smaller number. So that means 2 is the bigger number. So 2 is the one getting eaten. So M is less than 2 would be our inequality. Okay, so what you guys are going to do is in your practice journal, you have, these equations that you're going to go through. So there's 4 equations there, and you're going to write the inequality for each of those graphs. And then in words, describe all of the values of X that make the inequality true. So we'll go ahead and just practice one of those together so that you understand what's expected from that. Okay, so if we go through and graph this out. So we have a filled in circle. So we know we're going to have the line underneath. And I'll just use X for my variable. So X is to the right. That means it's the bigger number. So X is the bigger number. It's getting eaten. And it was a filled in circle, so underline. And then the number that's marked on is -2. So there's my inequality. So there's our inequality. It says, then in words, describe all values of X that make the inequality true. So numbers that are greater than or equal to -2. Sorry, I put a negative. No, it was -2. Or greater than or equal to -2. So here's the first part, and here's the second part. We have to write the equation, and then we have to write in words what that means. So basically, I'm taking that inequality and just writing it out in words. X is greater than or equal to -2. Okay, so that's what you're going to do for B, C, and D, and then you can check your answers off of the answer key.